gang, it's the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls here. Tonight's show sponsor is Coursera. If you're looking to level up your skills or explore a new field, Coursera has you covered. With more than 7,000 courses from top universities and companies, you can learn anything from data science to business, even psychology, at your own pace. Whether you're aiming to advance your career or just learning for fun, Coursera is the place to be. And the best part? Many courses are free to check out, and if you choose to opt for the monthly plan, you've got a 7-day free trial to see if it fits your needs. And for a limited time, you can save 40% off a year's subscription. Follow the link in the show description to start your new education today.
Welcome to Squatch-D where the truth is first before all else. Join your hosts, veteran investigator, TV personality, and author Steve Kulls, and from the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Project and the Kentucky Fried Fixes channel, Chris Bennett. Sit back and prepare to take yourself on a journey with the longest-running Bigfoot podcast, Squatch-D. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D for today's date, November 24th, 2024, 11/24/24. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective Steve Kulls, along with my co-host right down there, Mr. Chris Bennett. Hello, Chris.
Steve, man, I am getting warmed up for Turkey Day. I can't wait. Here we go.
That's right. Happy. Well, we're going to do one more show on Wednesday, so...
Yeah, I'm getting excited because, you know, we've limited our turkey intake to, I'm regular turkey, okay, to one turkey per year, and this is it. Sometimes when they're on sale, we'll have one at Christmas too, but
you don't even have a turkey sandwich during the year.
No, but we do use I have to use the substitute 1 pound of ground turkey meat for 1 pound of ground beef. You know, when we have stuff, but that don't really count. Really, that's
yeah. Well, it kind of does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking. You don't get the same flavor. It's
at least a few times a year, I get a nice big turkey sandwich.
Oh yeah. That's good.
Unfortunately, well, the one fortunate thing is I'm frying my turkey this year again.
Good.
So there is very little leftovers from that. Usually everybody
best turkey I ever had, Mr. John Gray. He deep fried one for me one Thanksgiving. I'd never had a deep fried turkey before, but man, I mean, they are awesome. You can't beat it. It's unbelievable. You know
what I love? Now, my favorite part, of course, everybody's favorite part of the turkey is usually the skin.
Right?
And the thing is that when you roast a turkey or bake a turkey in the oven, the bottom of the turkey, the skin there gets very rubbery, very gooey. It's cooked, but it's edible, but it's very chewy. But when you deep fry that turkey, you have extra skin now because that skin on the bottom, a whole slab of it like this, it's all nice and crispy.
Right.
And what I do is I get a fresh turkey, dry it off, stick it in the fridge, and before it goes in, it gets buttered up and gets rubbed. Yeah. It gets rubbed with spices and garlic powder and celery salt and a little bit of rosemary and onion powder and a touch of chili powder on it.
Right.
And then it goes. And my granddaughter will be here again this year, so she'll be jumping from the porch. Put it in, like she did a couple of years ago when they were here.
Yeah.
So I have a video of me putting it in, and you hear her in the background. Put it in, Grandpa. Put it in.
Well, this time of year when people deep fry their turkeys, remember, children, do not put your frozen turkey into the deep fryer. So many people burn down their houses because they put a frozen turkey in it. Don't do that. Let it thaw out really good.
you want a missile launcher and some ammo. Just drop a frozen turkey in a turkey fryer to heat.
I've only seen it on the internet, but I wouldn't want to experience that. That's
It'll be truly a W. If I line up 5 people that do that, drop the frozen turkey in, it'll be like a WKRP moment.
Yeah. Classic TV history right there, man.
Oh, dear. Oh, the humanity.
throwing the turkeys off the top of that tower.
Well, no, they were dropping it out of a helicopter.
Oh, it was horrible. It was horrible. Yeah, they were dropping them. They thought they would fly. No.
Yep.
20, 30-pound turkey can't fly anymore. Oh, it was hilarious. So WKRP in Cincinnati, the Thanksgiving episode, classic. Loved it.
Oh, the humanity.
Yeah, Les Nessman. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, no, turkeys couldn't fly.
On a serious note, our
Yes,
sponsor, Coursera. I always check them out. And
Jeffy, God is my witness. I swear I thought they could fly.
Yes, Jeffy. That's right, man. That's it. But I checked out Coursera, and they've got some free courses off that they're offering too. Yeah. And one of them was for anthropology.
There you go.
I'm like, you're kidding me. It's free. Education is key. I love it. And if you guys get a chance, check them out because it's it's free. Okay.
Yep.
Some of it,
Yeah.
And they offer other stuff too.
Yep. I'm signed up for that course too for anthropology. Right after I get done with, I'm actually taking another course, not from Coursera. I'm taking a course from Hillsdale College. I'm taking Constitution 101. So I'm about that because it's just government fascinates me, and and the founding of the government and the Revolutionary War times fascinates me, as people on the other side knows. It was just kind of a natural. I want to know more about. And they go in to talk about the Declaration of Independence and the Articles of Confederacy and the Federalist Papers and the lead up to the Constitution. And then they go on to continue. They talk about the War of Succession, the Civil War, and I haven't gotten to those classes yet, but each class talks about the constitutionality of different things. So really, really great stuff. So
good stuff. We got a brain. We might as well fill it up while we're here.
And I was having that thought as well that there's so many things that I've done over I can't, it's hard to list, and I have to start remember. Oh yeah, I was a paramedic, I was a firefighter, I was an EMT, I was an crew chief, I was a private investigator, I'm an amateur radio operator, aka ham radio operator, and that's just. And the stack of fire certificates and the training and the learning that I went through is that, I have a stack of certificates that thick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So learning has always been, and I've been a training officer. I was an American Heart CPR instructor as well. Right. And then that's just to name a few things that I've done along the line. And so learning has always been part of my background, and
that's part of your Generation X mindset, Steve. You're always learning and experiencing and gaining new information, new skills for the next better thing that's coming up. That's just the way it goes. Always improve yourself, especially if you can do it for free. Always improve yourself. Right. Awesome.
But that's right. Curious Cryptid said, God gave us a brain. There's no reward for returning it unused. Absolutely. I just love it.
Fill it up.
And I spent a couple hours today watching this excellent documentary on YouTube. It was a French-Canadian production. Right. And it was about the origins of man. And they did it in kind of like they put little storylines with the different groups of man that they looked at, going back to the Australopithecus afarensis.
Yeah.
And then they went into Paranthropus, and then they went into Homo erectus, and then Neanderthal, and then eventually Homo sapiens. They didn't really cover Denisovans or Denisovans, if you may.
Thank you. Depending on where you're standing in the world. Yeah.
Right. Caribbean.
Right, yeah. But good stuff, man. And I always try to overfill my brain because it leaks. So I can retain a little bit of it. So.
And Walter says, and then man invented hockey. No. I'm more with the. We're going to get to our topic in 1 second, but we're like having a little fun just before.
All right, guys.
We always but along with the invention of man came art. Along with the invention of art came the first art critic. And if anybody remembers History of the World Part 1.
It's been a while, but yeah, that was a great show, man.
Yeah. The art critic scene always made me laugh my ass off.
Yeah. Awesome.
Anyway, let's get to our roll call tonight because the chat sure is hopping to take Chris's line.
Yeah, it is.
So first in tonight is Walter Kroll. Congratulations, Walter. Hello. Pete H. Hello. Relic Common and catching us on the flip side. Don Gumhow. Hello, Don. Good to see you. Sharon. Sharon's going to catch us on the flip side, too, out there in Belgium. Hello, hello.
Wow.
Karen Fisher. Hello, Karen. Danny Weeks. Good to see you. Sandra Piper. Hello.
Sandra.
Bristol. Hello. How you doing, brother? Jay Carey. Good to see you.
Hey.
The Susie Monster is in the house. Susie, good to see you.
Love that. Yeah.
Yep. Mick, the mighty Mick Siphon is in the house. What's going on? Ron Meldrum. Hello, Ron. Good to see you again, brother. Jeff D. Smith. Hello, Jeff D. Jen. Hello, Jen. And hello to Baron, Jen's office assistant.
Oh.
Helton, Chris, a.k.a. Faster Man. Good to see you, Chris.
Yeah.
Where else? We got Arthur Watch in the house. Hello, Arthur. Good to see you. Boris Kahn in the house. Boris, hello.
Boris.
And, okay, now we're strolling a little bit. Angel Nolan. Hello, Angel. Good to see you. David Courier. Hello, David. That's a new name. Good to see you, David. Welcome, welcome. And we're just strolling along. Deb, Mrs. Trackway in the house. Hello, Deb.
Okay, I'm getting caught up. I saw David Courier there. Hi, David.
Yep. Nikki, Sasquatch Secrets. Hello. Good to see you, Nikki.
Welcome.
Steve, Curious Cryptid, as always, in the house. Has some great contributions, too. Kaiju Ninja 1985. Hello. Good to see you. Kaiju always has some great questions as well. Tennessee Cherokee. Hello. Good to see you, Tennessee. And I think I've caught up right now. And I know somewhere lurking is probably Grasshopper.
Yes. Hello, Grasshopper, prematurely before you arrive.
So we've got an interesting show from you, and hello to all our lurkers out there as well.
Yes.
And David, make sure, grab your favorite beverage, grab your favorite snack, kick your feet up, relax. And if you're last out, we just ask you to turn the lights out. Anyway, and then a reminder, everybody remember to hit that thumbs up like button for us. Helps us with the algorithm quite a bit. And, we have, I'm kind of scrolling and found a very interesting piece to see if I have an interesting take on something. And, of course, we did a little bit of our own enhancements a bit too to the film to see what we can, drag out of it objectively, because there is no doubt this is not a hoax film. This is something either intentional, maybe miscommunicated. We don't know. We're not sure, but we're going to go over all the aspects of this film to kind of clarify this. Again, if we have a film that we generally feel it goes one way or the other, we want to put out there the most information and the most in-depth analysis about this information. And given the time span, unfortunately, I could not find an email for either one of the folks that come into question here that may have the final solution to this. And that's okay, because I think within its own, we have the solution to it. But
since we're going to be having a lot of videos and enhanced photos, pictures, and screen grabs, screen caps, we want to make sure all our guys over listening on the podcast, make sure you stop by the YouTube channel to see this stuff. YouTube.com/@SquatchDTV.
Yes. Give us because you're going to want to see this film. And again, this film is shown under the fair use copyright, and anything we do tonight is under fair use. I would like to do a little video disclaimer here and picture disclaimer. Should not be a problem because it has been on multiple platforms for multiple years. as I did not know originally when I started looking at this, because this was regurgitated back on Weird News by Dave Bassner on July 30th, 2024. And let me get into the article. Nature documentaries can give viewers a close-up at certain aspects of Earth that they never otherwise could witness. From footage from the freezing poles to the hot countries on the equator, the fascinating films that focus on flora and fauna entertain millions of people across the globe. However, there is one in particular that recently started getting a lot of attention for a strange reason. It's called Great North and eventually came out in 2001. While the film examines the landscape of the Arctic, it allegedly wound up capturing a Bigfoot on film. Now, this is what always gets me, is that a person can be the greatest writer in the world, but they don't take it a step further, right? They only look at the surface. And I don't know if that's a problem with our media today, is they're only looking things on the surface. If they were truly an investigative reporter, which I feel is the job of every reporter and every journalist, is to investigate, dig, right? Yep. They would have a lot more than just a little summary on a web page. But then again, we live in a time where that's all they're required to do. Put a page up for an article and you're good to go. So they're not incentivized to dig, which is very poor journalism and it's very poor policy. But the surprising scene happens as the herd of caribou is seen running alongside a river in the northern part of Quebec, Canada. Before long, a black Sasquatch-like figure can be seen moving near them. It ducks down below a small ridge and disappears. Many people just assume that the figure is a member of the film crew, but one of the movie cinematographers, actually he was the co-director, William Reeve, is certain that's not what's in the footage. In an interview on the, here we go, Thinker Thunker YouTube channel, he stated, and I will give credit to Thinker Thunker on this. He did get the co-director to give an interview, which, hey, that's what we're about. We're about getting people that are involved on screen to talk about things. So I will give him credit. I may not necessarily agree with his end result. And of course, he does get a little angry again at people that dismiss this thing. Of course, we've seen that with Thinker Thunker. He gets mad when people don't agree with him. I could care less a lot of times. I just want people to have the facts straight. If somebody disagrees with me and yet they have all the facts straight, I'm cool with that. There was no one on camera. William Reese said there was no one on camera except for myself at the riverside. And we're going to get into onto Mr. Reese's comments. Mr. Reese did pass away on May 23rd in 2018, so he can no longer be interviewed. Well, there is a new name in the chat. Bobby Ounce. Hello, welcome, Bobby.
Hey, welcome.
Welcome. So when we look at this, on the as yet no official explanation of what of the figure has been given. What the figure has been given.
Let's see it.
Well, Mr. Reese also negates the idea it was a bear. And he goes, it's a very unlikely because given the fact, if it was a bear, now I'm going to start doing that. If it was a bear, it would be, on all fours to give chase, not upright trying to run.
Well, let's show the clip. Show the clip.
Showing the clip. Here we go. So here we go, folks. And as we see, from a distance, we're going to re-show that one more time. From a distance, it doesn't look that awful. There's a figure running along.
In the background there, yeah.
The background. Now, when we get to some of the close-ups of it, more detail starts to look out where I'm saying, eh, we'll see. So there we have. And to me, well, we're going to let this run out a few times, a little slower. And when I have, and Thinker Thunker surmise that, well, the item on the back of the creature has got to be a baby Bigfoot. Now, there is a propensity for, but usually when a young is being carried, it's on the front, not necessarily on the back. When you're traveling, hanging about, going short distances, yeah, it'll be on the back. So kind of hard to say. Now, this is the composite view where you're looking at, and what I find is the shadowing is really different for the arms than it is for, and the head are different from the actual creature itself, or the unsub, I should say, not creature.
That was really difficult to make out, but you can tell by looking at it.
Right.
Helps you look at the shadows.
Right.
Well, what I'm seeing here is
you see now this is one of my really high contrast, high brightness enhancements, and this is what I have an issue with right about. Oops, sorry, I missed it. It's right about there. And even coming down, you'll see that the hand of the subject looks like at the wrist changes color, which would be symbolic of somebody wearing a long sleeve shirt or a jacket.
Right.
Yeah. If you look at the item on the back of the subject, which is on the left-hand side, you can clearly see the arm in a pose like this, and it almost looks like they're getting ready to throw their pack down on the ground. And as you see, the backpack does not look like anything of a primate type of nature. It looks kind of flat.
Right. It looks like a backpack.
Looks like a backpack with maybe a tripod sticking out slightly out of it. If you look at the backpack or the item on the back itself, there is like a little knob coming out of it.
Something sticking up, right? Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So to me, and he actually may be wearing a ball cap, which when you start to see, let's look at this.
That's really, you could maybe make out
this is probably one of my best enhancements right here. Is right. You're going to start seeing it right there. Now you see very clearly the difference in, right?
Okay. Well, what I noticed
and what it looks like to me is he adjusted his hat. Now he's got his right hand on the back strap, right, just before he ducks down. And now you see him take his other hand to duck down, and now he crouches down.
That one frame shows the bill of a hat. Okay.
Yes.
Now,
right.
That's really pushing extremes there, but it shows that one frame shows the bill of what looks like a bill of a hat.
Right. And when you turn it, like the frame just before that one.
Oh, perfect. Right there. We see a head above shoulders right there.
And if you look at the head, it looks kind of squared off, right?
Yeah.
Like it's wearing a ball cap.
Right. Yeah.
Or a military sort of ball cap.
But what really jumped out at me, though, was it's obviously a head above shoulders. It's not a head stuck down with the chin level below the shoulder.
And you see he's adjusting something.
Yes.
Right
it
there.
It looks awful human-y to me.
Right, correct. And you can actually see an arm and an elbow in this, and you can see it move.
Yeah, Lori's on it, too. Yeah.
Right, Lori. Agreed.
Human, because it has shoulders and a neck. Yeah.
Right. So, let's take a look at what of course, the film is The Great North. Great film, by the way. Great documentary. Great cinematography to it. Now, We're going to just take a look at a few of the things, and that was without any enhancements at all. So if you're looking at this from this kind of aspect, it can be very, very confusing. But when you start throwing in a little enhancement like we did here, it becomes very clear what we're looking at. So,
well, even the motion, the guy's got his arm like, you know, bent,
right.
like he's reaching to take the backpack strap off. You know, that's
correct.
Everybody who ever wore a backpack knows this.
Agreed. And you know, Thinker Thugger went on to interview the co-director William Reeve, saying there was no one on camera except myself at the riverside, and the entire crew was on the riverside of the camera, the riverside of the shoot. There was no one on foot. Anyone who got in the shot who was a crew member would have to buy beers at night, so that's just bad protocol. There's absolutely no way we will put a human being in that peril. So that was William Reeve's read on the exact happening. Now, this is where we have a little bit of a head clash here. The director, Martin J. Dignard, regardless of who came up with the information or not, because, you know, because this is not about necessarily feuds. And I know there's a big feud between Thinker Thugger and Bigfoot Tony. But Bigfoot Tony reached out to the director, the other counterbalance to the sauce. Thinker Thugger reached out to William Reeve. William Reeve gave him the story. Martin Dignard said thanks for your comments. It's always appreciated. You know, talks a little bit about the film, where it was filmed. Said sorry for the delay. The shoot again, where it is. Film in the Newfoundland border of Quebec, up north in the Inuit territory at the end of a fjord. Closed out advanced camp, and basically they had to go back to reshoot something, and it says so there weren't any people besides our team. So he agrees that this is not somebody outside the team like a hunter or anything like that.
Right.
The grip technician was Chris Tate, who had a backpack. When filming wild animals like caribou, sometimes you just have to move fast and forgetting a few elements like the walkie-talkie to communicate. We left the shot in the film. And sorry I didn't have time to listen to the whole interview, blah, 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 with Bill Reeve, but Bill was not involved with the edit. And where he says edit, I don't believe he was involved with this particular shoot, although Bill said he was. So, again, we're talking at this point when they're being talked to, it's been about 18 years, 17 years that between shoots. So do they necessarily have their stories 100%? And I don't think either of these guys have their story 100% of what was going on. So at the end, we needed it for the shot, and it might be funny if only a few people see it. So yes, it was a very quick shot. I mean, if you look at the original video, he's only in there for about 4 seconds. Yeah. So they left it in. Does that sound out of bounds or anything out of the ordinary? And the answer to that is no. So we have one story on one hand, one story on the other. There has been some time that passed, and again, this is not a situation where it was very striking that you would go, oh, geez, I'm not going to forget this. This isn't like a 9/11 situation or a Patterson-Gimlin or I just saw a Bigfoot type of situation, because none of these guys had associated this with a Bigfoot. Reese himself said that they didn't realize this until people started pointing this out.
Yeah.
So it would not have stuck in his mind, and it would have just been another day at work. Despite seeing this magnificent herd of caribou running by, if you look at Reese's work, he, throughout his career, he filmed a lot of amazing things, and he was as well a cinematographer. But On this particular film, he was the co-director. So, and I know Thinker Thunker argues the fact that, well, see, he wasn't involved in the editing, and editing has nothing to do with the filming. And, that could be, number one, we have to look at Martin J. Dignard. Martin J. Dignard's primary language is French, not English. So that may be the reason why he called it an edit instead of a shoot. Right? So there is that possibility.
When you think about it, though, I mean, these people are making a nature documentary, and sure, they're filming some caribou or whatever, and then if they got a shot of a Bigfoot, you think they wouldn't stop right there and say, "Hey, whoa, we got something here,"
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, the point being is there is some memory loss here. Because, if we look at who he says, yeah, that's right. If we look at the person that Mr. Dignard says was the person, right. We look at Christopher Tate, and there he is, known for the Great North, but he was an IMAX camera tech.
Huh.
He wasn't a grip.
Right.
So, does an IMAX cameraman act as a grip? And it's unlikely that an IMAX camera operator or cinematographer would commonly work as a grip, as the two roles are distinct and require different skill sets and levels of expertise. However, in certain circumstances, such as smaller productions or early in someone's career, there might be a crossover. Overall, while it's possible, it would be rare to find an experienced IMAX cinematographer working as a grip unless it's a unique situation. So, is it possible it could have been Chris Tate? Or is it possible, like Thinker Thunker says, that how can this guy remember all this? This was 18 years ago, but I flip the coin and say, you expect Bob, Mr. Reese to remember everything years ago.
Yeah.
But, so you have one argument here that says, well, this guy is telling me the truth. There was nobody there, blah, blah, blah. Well, that was 18 years ago. How do you remember that? The same goes for Mr. Dignard. So the truth is going to be somewhere in between. And what I'm thinking is that Mr. Dignard confused Chris Tate, who was the grip, actually with Claude Fortin, who was the grip. Right. So is it possible, and it seems very likely to me, that Mr. Dignard was actually talking about the grip Claude Fortin.
Yeah.
Not Chris Tate, who was the cameraman. And Claude Fortin to this day is still a grip. So,
yeah. Yeah, it's possible.
So, and this is not a slam on Thinker Thunker. This is not a slam on Bigfoot Tony. This is just, we're taking the evidence and we're peeling it back. They both, in their own way, have done a good job. Thinker Thunker went to a witness. Bigfoot Tony went to another witness, and they had two different stories, which is not uncommon in the investigative world, right? Unfortunately, those two are like this, and people will say that about me and Thinker Thunker as well. That was in response to Thinker Thunker and what I was talking, we were talking about that head thing. So that's completely different. And it's unfortunate that it digressed to that, not saying, hey, you know what? You're probably right.
During the shoot, the two different guys are going to carry, both of them carry different memories, because some parts of the shoot would be more memorable to one guy, and other parts of the shoot would be more memorable to the other.
Right.
I wouldn't, it's not like both of these guys have photographic memories.
And in this case, I don't think anybody was trying to necessarily pull the wool over anybody's eyes.
Right.
The film had been around for a number of years. It had done really well. And I do not see that. So what I think in looking, definitely not a platypus, And looking at this bit of work here, I really think that what we're looking at is somebody that is, I think that it is a person just by that picture alone.
Yeah.
If you go back, that frame right there, that looks like a person carrying a backpack, wearing a build ball cap.
Yes.
Right? And he's got an arm on the strap of the pack, which is the way a lot of hikers walk, right?
Yeah. You know, that's pushing perception there on the ball cap, but you know, if you look, it's there. All right. Now, I don't know. We could be using the pareidolia might be coming out because maybe we want to see a ball cap, but daggone it, no, it looks like a ball cap on his head, and there's no leaves around there or anything.
Tom Slankus says it's one of the caribou. How can you not see that? Well, I'm not sure if he's being serious or not, but this is the reason why. Because usually caribou don't walk upright and they don't kind of have backpacks.
Well, you know, the thing that jumped out,
and they usually don't duck when a bunch of other caribou are coming their way.
Right, the head above shoulders. That's the thing that jumped.
But
out.
You see in the earlier frames, you can see where it is very hard to tell, right? Because it is ducked down, and then he gets up and he starts to move.
Right.
And even there, it's kind of hard to tell. But when you start seeing that hand come up, then you start realizing, wait a minute.
Right.
Right.
The hand's a lighter color than the rest of it.
Right. Yeah. Right. So that's why I think that, you know, we have basically a person with a backpack on, and it would make sense that a grip would have a backpack on. Yeah. Maybe he's got an additional camera or a GoPro with a tripod he could set up. Right. And it just so happened the herd started to move. So he moved up a little bit. Now, there was another commentary made by Mr. Dygard, or Dignard. And that was the fact that what he had said was that they did send a grip out there because they wanted to get the herd to run in front of their cameras as opposed to going straight back or the other way. So by him being there was keeping the herd around him because they were trying to avoid him. And as he moved along the thing there was to keep the herd from taking a further shortcut to get the most, probably the most value of it coming across the...
Well, see, I don't even know, and I'm going to breach a level of honesty here that may make me seem stupid, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm not sure what the job description of a grip contains. What does a grip do? Besides maybe, go out and herd caribou, reindeer, whatever you got.
So what does a grip do?
Heard that term used, and I just thought it was kind of like a slang for go get this, go get that, like a gopher.
So here it is. A grip is a vital member of the film crew responsible for handling and maintaining the equipment that supports the camera and lighting. They work closely with the cinematographer, camera operator, and gaffer to ensure smooth and safe operation on set. Their key responsibilities are camera support, lighting adjustment, safety, on-location challenges, right? And those in particular are adapt to unpredictable environments by improvising solutions for mounting or stabilizing gear or construct temporary structures, like shade tents or wind blockers. And special effects support help create practical special effects like setting up pulleys for flying objects or breaking walls in action scenes. So as you can see, a camera operator, such as an IMAX camera operator, right, has a very much different job description than that of a grip.
Yeah. Right. And that would also explain why he's probably got some stuff sticking up out of the backpack.
And I do believe it does say he's the key grip, correct? Let's see. So he is the key grip. Now it is important. It's important to note that the key grip is the head grip. He's the grip in charge. as far as gripping goes.
Gryffindor.
Overseeing the grip department and coordinating with the gaffer and the director of photography.
Old guy.
So that makes sense. If you're the director of photography, let's think about this. Hey, I need those caribou to not go back. We need them to make sure they stay in shot. So what does the key grip do? He runs out there and basically plays the blocker.
Yeah, kind of hurts them.
Right.
And that's probably why they were moving. You know, they saw this guy back there. They're like, oh, hey.
Right. So if anybody's got any gripes about grips, we've just settled that. And I know this was really a gripping tale. I know. Ha 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 ha.
Oh boy, that smell.
That's right. Jen says key grip equals caribou bait.
Yeah. But it's good to know, you know. Like
now Larry says that's so blurry I'd trash it. But in actuality, it's not blurry, Larry. We needed that blur to see what was going on because the original film looks like this.
Yeah.
So you're late to the party.
Yeah, those
Larry,
are
but
those
as
are
you see,
close-up images that are contrasted, and it's got all this to bring out the fine detail.
Right. And as you see, as he moves, right, he's not paying attention. If you look right, a little bit to the right and up, there is another smaller group of caribou there that when he gets up to move, they take off. And you see him start to moving right there as he moves, right? And that's the ones going up the hill already.
Right.
So that's...
You know, he's acting like, okay, they're moving. They're probably going to.
Right.
He probably didn't think they were doing the shot yet, and so he's like, "Let me get down and get out of the shot now."
Right.
They'll probably start the shot.
Right. So one of these things that obviously we were going to do this. I wasn't just going to regurgitate what one side said versus the other. That's why we brought up this Claude Fortin stuff. What does a grip do? Stuff like that. Bring a little something more to the pieces of the puzzle here. So when you look at the explanation from the director, Claude Dignard, you can see that what he is saying does make sense. And, let me check one other thing, Chris. If you got a few more comments.
Let's see here. Oh yeah. Yeah. He said it would have been awesome if it had been a Bigfoot though. Yeah, it would have. That would have been cool. I think they would have probably stopped making a caribou documentary though, and would.
Okay. So in French, the verb éditer can mean to edit in a publishing or general context. But in film and photography, it can sometimes colloquially mean to shoot or to capture. So there you have it, right?
Yeah.
When he's saying, just as I had thought, that when he says he was not involved in the edit, he really said he wasn't involved in this shoot.
Yeah.
Right?
That's very likely. Very likely, right.
And now we know that in French, the verb éditer can mean indeed to edit in a publishing or general context. But in film and photography, it colloquially means to shoot or to capture. So there you have it. So actually what he is saying.
Yeah, Grasshopper says other videos of that documentary show ATVs running about those washes.
Oh, I'm sure. But that really, that may sound like an important thing, but for a person who's in the Northeast, it doesn't mean anything. How many? I have at least 3 over the past 20 years of ATV riders seeing Bigfoot. So the fact that an ATV has been there or before or after or during or in between, to me, it's interesting. It's okay. It's a fact. Okay, people go there, but that doesn't necessarily negate the presence of a Sasquatch necessarily.
Could have been Sasquatch riding ATVs. I've seen it before. Butchie Kid.
Mm. No, I'm not talking about that one, damn it. But
oh man.
Yep. Well, I don't know about that, Grass. They both, they're trying to say, and very angry. The ATVs were of the crew of the film. Correct, maybe not. According to both the director and the co-director, a helicopter was used to get them to go where they were, not ATVs. So, and that is right there in that text somewhere. It says, yeah. I mean, both the director and the co-director agreed that they were dropped into the area by helicopter. So,
well, we don't know. You know, that could be a different area too. They're talking about.
Or yeah, it could be a different area. It could be a different film production. It could be just guys driving where they filmed it. But both the director and the co-director said they were dropped there by helicopter. So that is a consistent statement between both.
Yeah.
So I would defer to them, and anything else that's not properly sourced or shows any of the particular people involved identified them, directly, I would have to put aside, and that's just evidentiary rule.
Yeah. Grasshopper saw the ATVs as part of the documentary. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I've not seen that part, but it's very possible. Yeah, they could have used ATV. Yeah. We might not have used them in that.
Right, because they both specifically said in this area they were dropped in by helicopter because it was rather remote, and that's
makes sense too. I mean, I would use the ATVs to kind of herd the caribou if I wanted to get certain shots of them.
And Kaiju asked, has Bigfoot ever been reported in that area? I don't know. Not my job. It's not my area, but is the area remote? Yes. Doesn't matter if Bigfoot's reported there or not. Is it remote enough to house a Bigfoot? Yeah, because there's always a first time for an area, right? I haven't seen a bear in the neighborhood, but there'll be a first time eventually,
Northern Labrador. That's not too far away from New York. But,
this was taken on the border of Newfoundland from Quebec, the Quebec-Newfoundland border. That's where this was filmed.
Mm.
Well, obviously that's, if you look, that's, is it tundra? Is it not? I'm not quite sure what type of land that is, but when you look at the background of the actual thing, that doesn't look like flat tundra to me. It may lead up to a tundra. I don't know, but, and it's very green.
I didn't see any trees.
No, I don't see any trees either. Right. See you see scrub brush.
Yeah.
I don't see many trees. Maybe in the back in that corner there. But definitely.
The Honda 3-wheelers was the greatest ATVs of all.
Oh, there's a pretty good shot there too.
Yeah.
So it does look kind of very flat and barren, with the exception of some scrub brush like going to the top of the mountain.
Oh yeah, I would like to check up in that little valley draw there for gold. Well,
except with the exception of that, if there's no Bigfoot reports, there's no sense in going into an area that hasn't reported a Bigfoot. That's just spinning your wheels. I see so many newbies doing that. Oh, I'm going to go out Sasquatch research. Well, has there been any Bigfoot sightings in that area? Well, no, but you never know. Well, if you come in with that type of attitude, you're looking at confirmation bias, probably that you're out there to find some sort of evidence, and you're going to damn well come back with some sort of evidence. And that's a trap. That's a trap new researchers fall into a lot of ways.
I don't see any cover. There's no place for them to hide.
Yeah, exactly. Except maybe behind some hills a little bit to see other. So yeah, it doesn't look like Bigfoot territory. Number one. That's why there aren't very many Bigfoot sightings in Kansas, right? And the sightings you have in Oklahoma are usually southeast Oklahoma, southern Oklahoma, areas where they have trees. Same thing with Texas. You have a lot along the eastern part of Texas, in the southeastern part of Texas, where there is trees, and it leads into other forests that go into Oklahoma and Fouke, Arkansas, and Louisiana, and the elk near there.
And usually that's always along waterways or river systems, creek systems, something,
Right.
somewhere where there are like trees growing up near it. So they got a little cover and water.
Right. So yeah. Howler in the house.
See it.
So yeah, so I really think, as we said, that this is going to be, the person with the backpack. That to me looks like a backpacker.
I think so too.
Now, could it be reverse pareidolia? Could be, but it doesn't look like a Bigfoot to me. Much too wide. It doesn't look like well, that could be a Bigfoot young in the back. Yeah, well, it could be, even Occam's razor. A Bigfoot on somebody's back that appears to be wearing a ball cap, maybe even a hood over the ball cap. To me, it looks like they got a hoodie on with a flipped up, right? A ball cap. So.
Well, and I can see the position of the arms there. It looks like he is holding where a back strap would be for a strap for the backpack would be, as he's, steadying it as he moves and getting ready to probably just pull it off. But that's a lot of that's a deep perception there. That's oh, Larry! Wow, Larry Sharp gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Larry. You're too kind. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Oh, wait a minute. You're muted, Steve.
I did thank Larry. That's why I put it up there real quick. And Doug Gear. Hello, Doug. Good to see you. Emperor Penguin wearing a scally cap.
Thank you so much, Larry.
Yes, thank you, Larry.
We're not worthy. Doug, that's a good one. Yeah. Emperor Penguin wearing a scally cap. Okay.
So yeah, there is, to me, that's what it is. And the reason why, again, people that don't know, the reason why this is blurry, because it's mega zoomed in. The original, agreed 1,000% Grasshopper, agreed 1,000. It looks like a hat and a backpack. And the arm is where you would think they would be. You're moving with the backpack. You're supporting your arm weight on the backpack straps, keeps the backpack up on the back, and at the same time, kind of gives your arms a chance to relax a little bit. Relaxes the upper spine, relaxes the thoracic spinal column as well. And then you start to see the movement, when he has to get down. And that's when you see the arm drop, and then he gets down and hunkered down.
Right.
And he's doing that, why? Well, he's not doing that to hide himself from the herd. No. Because he's seeing what he's doing is he's hiding himself to stay out of the shot.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right. And what happens is, hang on a second.
I wouldn't think Bigfoot would be aware of the camera across the creek. And if he was, he probably wouldn't be moving around. But yeah, it's more likely we're looking at a crew member here with a backpack and a hat.
I have a really weird situation in this house sometimes, and that's and they say, well, it's part of your programming, your timer settings. No, it's not. I've checked. But for some reason, the lights go out at certain times. And if I turn them back on, they'll go out like 2 or 3 minutes later again, and I have to tell them to turn back on. So that's what's happening. It's what's happening in the office. That's why I had to mute out, because I had to tell it to turn back on.
Huh.
So yeah,
Alexa's trying to cut down on your electric bill. That's
no. I think the Wi-Fi is just haunted.
Oh yes. Well, we had those cool bulbs that you could turn on, voice operated by using. I think we had the Google Home.
Well, there's a good question. How did he cross the river? Well, they did have a helicopter. they did have a helicopter there. So I don't know.
Well, was it like really? I mean, didn't look like it was a big river to me. It looked kind of a creaky. I don't know. Can you play it back, Steve?
Hang on. Kaiju Ninja asked, "How did he cross the river?" Well, they had a helicopter. Kaiju Ninja 1985 asked, "Do you think other crew members of the camera size would have seen that as it happened?" Certainly, and that's why, according to Dignard, that Reese was not involved in this particular shoot. Now that we've clarified that, because Dignard is a French Canadian, and we learned that edit means in a film term in French, it means shoot or capture. So shoot, right. So I just wanted to reiterate that.
Yeah, his understanding of the word and the way he used it was a little bit different from what.
So if you would see that in the shoot, and even the Dignard says, "Well, yeah, we saw it, but we didn't think much of it. It's only for a few seconds, basically." And I am paraphrasing there. And if anybody saw it, we kind of chuckle and think it's well, no, not necessarily, Danny. When you talk about a on-scene shoot like that, you're talking maybe about 5 or 6 people, and a helicopter pilot. And like I said, it was shot in 2001, and it wasn't discovered till 16 years later. But somebody pointed that out. 17 years later, right? So, no. And matter of fact, is I have had that happen to me in my own Monster Quest episode. I am being interviewed, and something is walking in the background. Everybody says, "Oh, you missed that Bigfoot." No, I didn't miss that Bigfoot. And this came out years, 2012, 2013, like 4 or 5 years after the fact that even shot.
Right.
Not one single crew member has ever spoken up or been asked about it. Only me. So I'm the only one that answers that. Let's face it. Most cameramen, most grips, they're not paying attention to what the Bigfoot community says. The directors weren't until they were notified. "Hey, did you know about this?" "Well, no, I didn't." Right? We all think that because we're involved in something, that everybody worldwide is involved in something. When the fact is they're not. And I was the only one to answer the question. Nobody talked to the cameraman, Tom, or the audio guy, who was a French Canadian again by kind of coincidence on the Monster Quest shoot.
Yes.
And I know Tom went on to work for NBC after many years of doing independent film documentary. But nobody asked me. But what it was I knew automatically that was Dave McCullough, who's been on the show before. And the area behind me was the trail up to the campsite. So all he was doing, from the looks of that film, was he was coming down from the campsite to go get more stuff.
Huh.
Right? And I recognize
no idea you guys were filming. I'm sure.
Right. So yeah. So it's not necessarily universal that and again, that shoot, there was the director, there was the cameraman, and there was the sound guy. There was only 3 guys there that were doing that whole shoot. That entire Monster Quest, I think. There might have been a 4th guy. In fact, I think there was a 4th guy that was probably the grip, the guy running around getting stuff, or a production assistant, right? So there's only 4 people on that shoot. That's not a lot of people. It's not like you're going to bring 60 people or 25 or 35 people. When you shoot these type of documentaries, the crew is a lot of times just a skeleton. We shot The Truth Behind the Loch Ness Monster. Remember that big production on NatGeo?
Right.
There was Mike Wafer, a sound guy, Sandy, the cameraman, I forget his name. I think his name was Michael, and Anna, the production assistant. Again, 4 people to shoot that entire documentary. So it doesn't. What's the matter?
What was that noise?
That was the bird clock.
Oh, okay.
I have a bird clock right up there. And actually,
I was here. I was like, where's
my mother for years had a bird clock, and I had that bird clock, and then it broke.
Oh man!
So my wife got me a replacement for it.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, so it's kind of something that reminds me of her. It's the reason why I keep a bird clock in my office. Yeah. So the number of people on these productions is not very large. Oh, a platypus clock. Oh. Yes, at noontime it slaps its tail on the water.
Mick had mentioned earlier that this could be an emperor platypus, and it does have a quite large bill according to this shot here. So
very, very, very true. At least that he's wearing a platypus on his head, and the bill you see is actually that of a platypus.
I don't want to rule it out because this is pretty blurry.
Grasshopper says, I prefer the singing fish on the wall. Billy Bass. Yeah. Billy Bass. I remember, not to get off topic for one second, but I remember the craze, everybody buying those Billy Bass ones. We couldn't, I remember at the time they were popular. I was working in loss prevention for a drugstore retailer, and they had tons of those, and they couldn't keep them on the shelf. Everybody wanted the Billy Bass, the talking fish. I'm mad I never got one, but I'm not really a fisherman, so it wasn't really like, oh, that's kind of cute, kind of fun. Man, I don't need it. I'm not a fisherman. Now, if I had the singing Bigfoot head on the wall, then we would have to get a special camera just for the singing Bigfoot.
Yeah, those Billy Bass things are kind of silly, but it was a thing for a little while. Take me to yeah. Danny says the song is "Take Me to the River." Yes.
Very good, Danny. Very good.
Danny probably has one.
You see, that's what I love about our audience. They've kind of their sense of humor and nostalgia is like on par with everybody here. And if there's anybody younger, just sit back and enjoy and let the old Gen Xers yap.
Okay, Mick. Saber-toothed platypus disguised as a key grip. Get it right. Okay.
Yep. Could be. But to me, that looks like somebody in a coat. So
won't rule it out because it is blurry. But with the photo edits there and the clarifications, the contrast and sharpness aspects were played with, and you can plainly see a backpack. You can see a head above shoulders. And if you look really close, you can see what looks to be the bill of a hat.
Right.
Cannot guarantee that. I wouldn't bet my life on it, but I would say it's more chance of being a hat than not.
All right. Exactly. But no, and there is no fault, I think, really. I mean, you have to understand everybody comes into things with a certain amount of confirmation bias.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I don't recall seeing this video too much. Maybe very briefly back whenever. And I really didn't think much of it. I heard about it, didn't think much of it. Didn't really report on it. Of course, our show is a little bit different now. Now we report on things. Right now we analyze things on air. It's part of the show process. So, and I understand, that confirmation bias is in our, a lot of people's brains. I came at it from a purely like, isn't this interesting? And I did even send Thinker Thunker a message. I appreciate the work he had done on it. But I don't necessarily agree with his findings on it, because I think there's a level of confirmation bias when you see this, what is going on? When you see that, I'm sorry, every time I add it to the stage, it starts playing. But when you see that frame, it looks, it looks to me very clear that this is a human. And of course, in a mind that's got confirmation bias, that's a Bigfoot with a baby on its back. But it's not. Because how do you explain that protrusion on the head? That's a cap. Right. And that's where it started when I saw that frame with the cap. And if people wonder how I look at these things is you have to look at it frame by frame by frame by frame. And once I got the right edit in where it would draw out the colors of, and believe it or not, there's no color filters added to this film. I do lighting enhancement.
Yeah.
And when you get it to the proper lighting enhancement, it draws out the detail.
Yeah.
You got to do proper lighting, proper contrast. Yeah. And I'm blessed to have the tools to do that. And once that drew out, then I started taking a look at it frame by frame. And admittedly, there's a few frames where you can't tell if that's a Bigfoot or you can't tell if that's a human. You really can't tell. And I understand that.
Yes.
And I can understand where somebody sees those first few frames and boom, it gets into their head and the rest of it looks like a Bigfoot to them. I understand that. Yeah. But I have had 37 years, going on 37 years of looking at video, looking and interpreting what's happening from and people don't understand my background with video, right? When I say this is a guy with a backpack, yes, there's a black jacket on. It's a hoodie. He's got a cap. I see the white face from here to here, which tells me he's got a hoodie. I see a color shift at the wrists, right? Yeah. You can almost see the straps of the backpack almost in the enhancements. And people ask me, well, how do you know all this? Well, for almost 37 years, I had to observe a lot of times when people were accused of crimes out of a cash register, right? Not only did I have to determine, and let's face it, those are not IMAX cameras, right? This was filmed in IMAX. So we have a really good, that's why you zoom out, it looks so crisp, right? Yeah. But we're using 1995 cameras, 1994 cameras, 1992 cameras, 1988 cameras, right? So they're focused on something. And you have to look very carefully at the bills to see how much money it is. And you would have to know the characteristics or the outline of the frame of the bill because every bill in U.S. currency is different. The frame of it's a little different. It's a little bit different. And you would have to know, looking down at it, when they're taking that money out, to see that frame, blurry as it is, to determine what denomination of bill it is. Sometimes it's easy because sometimes it's coming out of a till and you know that slot's the $20 bill, that's the 10, that's the 5, that's the 1. Right. But there are times when a bill gets placed on the counter and the cashier takes it and doesn't put it in the register, puts it off to the side and then takes it. And you have to kind of figure out what the bill is, the denomination of it is, right? So there is a lot of finesse. And then there's other things too. Where did the money go? Because you'll see somebody take a bill, and then they kind of turn themselves. So there was a lot of subjective interpretation. And after a while, you get really good at it because you've seen it before. You know how many times I've seen a backpacker confused for a Bigfoot? Hundreds over since 1998, hundreds of times. How many times have I been wrong? Zero. Zero. Right? And that's not bragging. That's just, I've seen this before, or I've seen, I know exactly. This is a backpacker. And unfortunately, people, have trouble confining their confirmation bias because they want to believe so bad. They want the ultimate proof. Now, whether it's for see, I don't think, and I'll say this very outwardly, I don't think Thinker Thunker is a nefarious individual. I don't think he's doing that because he knows it's fake, but he's going to put it out there as real. I don't believe that for 1 second. I think that he's just very confirmation biased, and that's what you got. And I get that. And I'm cool with that, right? But then you look at channels where this guy is putting out these hoax videos and he's talking about them. Oh, the 10 best Bigfoot videos. Yep, that's been debunked. Yep, that one's clearly that suit. That one is that. And you're looking at all these, and those are the people that don't care, and they're not in the Bigfoot community. But they post, the 10 best Bigfoot videos all the time. And they get more views than Thinker Thunker does. And at least he's trying his best at doing analysis. And I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah.
I may not mesh with his personality, so be it. But I will give him credit for that. He's trying, at least. He maybe have a little bit of confirmation bias there that kind of skews his investigations. We've said that about MK Davis before, right? Not bad people, but just people that are just running. Now, whether or not they choose to get angry at what I say or get mad at what I say, well, so be it. I'm not doing this out of vitriol. I'm doing this out of the truth and pure analysis. And that's the important thing for people to know, is that we can have discourse without being feudal enemies.
Well, Grasshopper popped up an important point here. He said, I'm so old, I saw the Minnesota Iceman in the trailer. I've seen that when I was a kid too, and it wasn't in the trailer. They'd moved it into a little shopping mall complex building over in Glasgow, Kentucky. And he noted here in this other one, he said I was about 15. The smell coming through the corner of the glass. Yes, it was stinky. The original display was stinky.
Hello, Henry. Henry, good to see you. Look at that dial phone. Dial phone's the party line. Call the operator for the correct time.
Is that Henry May?
No, I think that's another Henry.
Okay, well, welcome, Henry.
That's great. Yeah, call the operator.
Yeah, I watched a new documentary. Well, I don't know if it's new, but it's new.
I'll call the operator right now. See what the correct time is. Hello? Yeah. Do you have the correct time? What do you mean? Look at my phone. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
How about look at your watch, you schmuck? Oh yeah, I have a smartwatch. Yeah, that's why there used to be that commercial. It was a Geico commercial. Does a smartphone really work with really dumb people? And remember they had the guy with the mouth app where he would talk and Patty, you're too much, Patty.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patty. You're too much.
We gifted 10 Bigfoot Squatch-D TV memberships. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you. We're not worthy.
Remember a few months ago, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But now I'm good. All right. Somebody said Studebaker. I'm not that old. Not quite.
I remember seeing them, but not when they were new. Yeah.
So here's another interesting. Let's take a look at this picture here, and that is this thermal image from Expedition Bigfoot. And again, this is used under fair use as well. And allegedly, I don't know if they're saying there's two Bigfoot in this, but I didn't want to show the video just for copyright reasons. But they have like one shimming up a tree, and it's like this.
Is this thermal?
Yes.
Okay.
And so you see the one going up a tree like this. And to me, that's very indicative of a varmint, like a porcupine or a raccoon or not a ferret, a mink that will climb up a tree, or a platypus. The platypus is on the ground. And then they have something that very clearly appears to be on the berm there. that doesn't show me any type of height. And they don't actually show it in the film, anything standing up like that. And that's what they call, evidence. And, again.
So we're trying to figure out here, Mick. This is a clip from or a
screen cap. Yep.
From what's the name of the show? Was it
Expedition Bigfoot?
Expedition Bigfoot. Okay. Well, right there. Okay, I'm out.
Exactly. And
yeah,
like you look at thermal images or night images, the process is pretty much the same when it comes to trying to discern what you're looking at.
Right.
Henry says the long one is 7-8 foot tall. There is no long one there. That is not a solid figure. Well, I guess somebody could say it is.
I don't know. I mean, if it's like behind a tree and we're looking at its arm or something, then that could be interesting.
Not very true.
Because it looks like there's something. It's either going up the side of a tree or it's something behind a tree there.
Right, but then in the later video, you see like it go to like a little snippet of that, right. And you'll see it go up. And I'm like that, so I don't know what you're looking at here, and we don't know the size of the tree.
Well,
and truthfully, I do not trust any of the production companies' numbers on how tall a tree is or anything like that.
No, I would not trust Expedition Bigfoot.
Right, they're trying to claim that is a Bigfoot too, but so I don't know. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. I mean, you look at an area. So, okay, now I see what you're talking about. Yeah, could it be something standing there? Absolutely. But again, that leads me to my next thought about that is, to me, that's just the reason why thermal in certain cases is not good enough. Thermal catching something in an open field may be a little bit is better. A thermal is nothing to me. It's not a tool to use for evidence.
Right.
Just preliminary, very circumstantial evidence. Right. Even in walking in a field, if it's walking in a field and you get a clear enough shot of one, that may be evidence necessarily. But in a situation where you're looking into the woods, it's a tool. It's a tool, and it's a cool tool. And you know what? Maybe they did get something there.
Well, I'm sorry, though. I mean, as much as Expedition Bigfoot has went off the rails with their creative editing for viewers, they might as well call themselves Expedition Rick Dyer.
Well,
I'll watch a show with Rick Dyer in it and expect as much Bigfoot as I see in this one.
At least Rick Dyer is, well, with the exception of the time he said he was up at a certain place and he wasn't, but I knew that. See, and that's what kind of killed that show for me was at the end in season 1, we knew there was something wrong. It just seemed too convenient. We saw the tracks, and then we find out that, hey, they were at the Antoine Ranch very publicly. It wasn't a cinnabar mine. It was a gold mine.
Right. So many miles to get to this area. Then there's freaking vehicle tracks in the grass.
Right. Yeah. You're exactly right, Grass. And I've always said thermal is for spotting things that go bump in the night. Things go bump in the night. The thermal is great for what it's good for is ruling out Bigfoot more than it is ruling in a Bigfoot. Let's face that. Something's moving out there. What it is? Oh, it's a porcupine. Something's moving out there. Oh, it's a deer. Right? It's more for a tool to understand. Now, there's something tall and bipedal. Well, what you're filming is not evidence. You actually got to see what that bipedal object is. Right? So it's a good tool. It's kind of cool as amongst researchers to say, hey, look at this. Like Joe Perdue and crew over there at Wild and Weird, West Virginia, they had a really great thermal video where you actually kind of see a step off a little bit. And that was really cool. Is it Bigfoot? We don't know. We can't say for sure. Is it possibly a Bigfoot? Yeah. That's how I would label that. Possibly a Bigfoot. But
if you had one of those like $15,000 big expensive outfits.
Right.
You could get a thermal imaging of a Bigfoot at night, and it's so detailed you can see the face. You know?
But given Expeditions Bigfoot's the crew's history, how do we know that's not a member of the crew out there standing out there?
Yeah.
No, we don't. And that's the issue I have, because it's kind of like this. See, when they started season 1, it's like starting a relationship. I think I've said this before, but it's worth repeating, right? When you start a program, right, it's about establishing a relationship, right? You and the audience. When you sit there and you pull the wool over the eyes of your audience or your relationship for the first season, the entire first season,
yeah,
and then it comes out that, hey, you weren't where you said you were. This wasn't a Cinnabar mine. This isn't a remote area. It's remote. Maybe that's technically correct, but it's pardon my French, it's a fucking dude ranch, right? There's a problem with that. And when you wreck a relationship like that, I can't go back. Sorry, I can't go back. It's a relationship that you didn't earn my trust. And that's why, when you start a show, you got to have that honesty there. You got to have, hey, I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to explain what I can explain when I can explain it. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to say it's one thing when it's not. I'm not going to not give you the entire story. I'm going to give you the whole story. When you have that kind of relationship with an audience, then you've earned that trust. That's what we strive to do here. But when you sit there and like I said, it irks me that they would shoot an entire season on the dude ranch, heavily touristed area, and stay at the dude ranch. They weren't even camping. They were in the nice lodges, right? And then try to say, oh, it was this, it was that. And I'm not blaming the talent. I understand that too. I'm not blaming the talent, because when the talent comes on, a lot of people don't understand that as well. When the talent comes on, they have to sign NDAs, stuff that, hey, you can't talk about this, blah, blah, because it's all about money now. You sign that contract, you're getting paid X amount of dollars. That production company needs to sell that to a network, and in turn, that network has to sell advertisement to it. So it's the production company that makes those edit calls and those bullshit calls.
Creative editing for entertainment purposes only. Right. That's when I'm out when they start doing that. Right. Now, don't get me wrong. I love to watch a good movie. If I wanted to watch a Bigfoot movie or something, I'll go watch like Exists or something like that. If I want to watch a Bigfoot documentary, I would like for it to be a Bigfoot documentary, not a mockumentary.
And I am sure that's why I bring this picture up, and I have to remind myself that I'm sure they may have had some legit experiences. But the problem is, when you muddy the waters with an entire season, your first season, anything they do from that point out is suspect to me because of that NDA. Right?
Yes.
Luckily, I always say this is, there are times, especially I am asked to say things, and I turn around right to the director and say, I can't say that. That's not true. Well, can you say something similar that would be true? Absolutely. And I would. Right? And that's the difference. That's the difference between me and some other people. I don't care if I've signed. Well, the fact is, I'm not paid talent. I'm paid. Like especially like the Truth Behind the Loch Ness Monster. I was paid. I was the only show I've ever been paid to do. Hello, Bob Hip. That was the only show I was paid to do. Was the Truth Behind the Loch Ness Monster, because it took me out of my employment for 9 days. It was a 9-day shoot in Loch Ness. And again, I signed NDAs, until the show came out. And I was asked to say things, and I said, no, that's not really accurate. Well, And they would turn right around. Well, say it how it would be accurate, or say something similar would be accurate. They're just looking for a soundbite. And the director says, I don't want you lying. I want you to tell the truth. So if I ask you to say something that's not correct, please let me know. And so that is the.
I can work with that, right? If the director says he doesn't want you lying, okay, good. We
Right.
can do this.
But I had worked with, and the director's name was Mike Wafer. He's from the UK, London. And I worked with Mike on the Monster Quest. He was the director of the Monster Quest as well.
Great guy.
Great director. Taught me a lot in my 2 times I was with him. Taught me so much, especially in when I shot Truth Behind the Loch Ness Monster in 2011, early 2011, it's the end of February. Actually, it was the last couple of weeks of February. I went there. I flew there, I think, the day before Valentine's Day. I think it was February 13th. I flew out. Could have been February 11th, but I was there for 9 days. I came back. So it was really cool. It was one of the greatest experiences of my life. But Mike took me under his wing, and he taught me a lot of things about the film industry and stuff like that, and how things get filmed and how. So when I see a show like Expedition Bigfoot or Finding Bigfoot or even Mountain Monsters, I understand a lot of times.
Oh, Steve Curious Cryptid says, I don't want you to lie. Just perform advanced martial arts upon the truth.
That's right.
You killing me, Steve.
And Tom Sklenka said, I always liked the Mike Green thermal footage of Squeaky. I don't think it was ever debunked. Correct. I don't think it was ever debunked either. I like that one too, to tell you the truth. Yeah. And we did a show after Mike Green had passed away. We did kind of a tribute show to him where we talked about the Squeaky video and stuff in the events leading up to it. That is in the queue on our channel somewhere. That's in one of the video sections of our channel.
But when these directors or editors are making these 4 TV productions, they're going to want a certain editing thing for viewers to make it more interesting,
right?
And Finding Bigfoot, the first season, they got into a little trouble with that horse thermal footage.
Right.
Matt Moneymaker jumped right out. I mean, immediately after that, she couldn't say anything before the show. Okay, right. But immediately, right after the show, he's like, no, we told those guys that was a horse. They knew that, but they kind of portrayed it in the show and the episode like it was maybe something else.
Yep.
And Matt Moneymaker, credit where credit's due.
Right. Yep. Right, exactly. And the entire crew was ready to walk out and not have a season 2 unless they changed that kind of modus operandi. Right. And they did. After that, season 2 was much different than season 1.
Yes.
And and they all said, to their credit, listen, we have our we have our reputations to protect. We are this, we're not that. And much to their credit, and much to the.
Yeah, Mick, that was the Squeaky video. He grabbed a Zagnut, wasn't it?
Right.
Zagnut
bar. The Zagnut bar. But yeah, they called it Bill Goes Squeaky. Yeah, for whatever reason, it came out as the Squeaky video. That's what it became known as. So I don't know. I don't even know why, though. Yeah. Like the New York Baby video. I was the one who coined that one. There's a few things in the Bigfoot realm that I've coined that is universally accepted now. So off the top of my head, I don't know what it is, but every once in a while somebody will say a term. I go, yep, I remember coining that one, or the naming something. Blinky. The Todd Standing video, Blinky. Yeah. I was the one who named it Blinky. I was the one who named that one Blinky. Yeah. Because the blink on that one, again, looking at film, even though this came out many years, it came out 2 years earlier as a photograph.
Yeah.
2 years later, suddenly it was a video capture, it was a film. When it blinks its eyes, its eyebrows move, and that doesn't happen because they're independent muscle groups. So we knew that wasn't a biological correct posturing or
But,
movement.
yeah, I always thought that Mike Green's video was interesting, and I liked it, but unfortunately, the level of sophistication is not there that you could say, "Hey, this is good evidence."
Right.
But it's something that if you
And-
had that video, you could or that thermal, you could go back and say, "Hey, I've got something going on in this area for sure."
Right.
Now I'm gonna get back in there and get
And much to his credit, much to Mike Green's credit, he had a great tactic of leaving it in a tent, shooting out of the tent on the Zagnet bar and leaving the area, acting like he was going away. Great strategy. Great strategy. Do the, I've done the same thing with audio recorders. And the other thing too is this is very early when thermal was in its infancy. He was doing that, right? So that in of itself was great.
Yeah. I mean, who at that time, had thermal equipment? Not very many people.
Right.
He was probably one of the first in our field to have the thermal equipment. Right. And which, this is why, because of the quality, it wasn't that great of a thermal.
And who can not forget Bill Dranginis, who was like the father of thermal imagery in the Bigfoot world. From Virginia. Bill was always big in working thermal and had converted a vehicle to have like a rooftop mounted, one of the first that we've seen. Now there are units you can attach to the top of your vehicle that act 360 that have really high depth. We saw Moneymaker use that in the episode with Bob Saget. Use that in the episode of Bob Saget. We saw him use that rooftop mount.
Oh yeah. That was awesome. It was.
I got to tell you something, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know what's going to happen to me next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been pricing out those units.
Mm-hmm.
And they're about $5,000.
Yeah.
So it may be in the budget. Well,
that would be interesting. I can get a 16-foot flat bottom boat.
Yeah.
That should be pretty easy to come by here in Kentucky.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to put a $5,000 item on a boat, though.
Well, the thing is, my idea, I think, would be a good one to put a very expensive high-dollar thermal on a flat bottom boat and float down a certain section of Green River between maybe midnight and 3 a.m.
Yep.
And just get thermal readings of the bank on all sides.
Right.
I think that would be good.
So Tom Sklenka asked, why can't we get thermal that decent now? Because everybody has gone to the cheap one, the FLIR Scout. Yeah. And to be honest with you, the FLIR Scout, I used it. It was okay, but really, it was a piece of shit. It's like the McDonald's version of a FLIR. It's my IP chip is the lowest you can find. It was priced nearly double of similar chips. And the fact mine is sitting in the bin for garbage, basically, because after several years, I unplug it and the receiver that is in the unit came out with it.
Yeah.
Right. So I've replaced that with an upgraded chip, an upgraded sensor with more features than the FLIR for about half the price of a FLIR. Right. Even cheaper than a FLIR Scout. And I'm using a Lorex thermal camera. And it has been phenomenal.
Well, the episode where Matt Moneymaker was using the one on top, I think he was driving an Escalade. Had it mounted on top of the Escalade.
Grass, sure, your FLIR Scout may work fine. It worked fine for me. But when you see the other products that are available, and the other products are out there.
Yeah.
Not only is there AGM, but there's another company called ATN. Yeah. Adam Tango November.
Yeah.
That is a little lower price than, Alpha Golf Mama AGM. There is a product, and their products are a little less pricey, but they are damn good as well.
Yeah, you see a lot of videos on YouTube from those guys out in Texas and Arkansas that are hunting hogs at night. Right. And they use some of these new scopes and they test them out. And the footage that they give you is just, oh my God, it's unbelievable. You could like see the hog blink, and stuff like that. It's just incredible.
So let me ask Grass. Grass says he got his scope for Scout for half price. So that'd be about $300. I'm assuming. Maybe $250, correct? I got mine on an open box sale for $240. All right. So I got mine for $240 open box. And when I got the open box, it wasn't an open box. The box had a little dent in it. So they considered it damaged because they couldn't put it out on the shelf. Got mine for $240. It connects with my phone so I can record. It connects with the phone or tablet. It has a Wi-Fi connection. And it's got an improved sensor. It's the next step up from the FLIR Scout. So it's much clearer at what you can see. The distance is better. The filtering is better. It doesn't have as many fancy filters as the FLIR Scout. But let's face it. Usually you're using 1 or 2 filters on a FLIR Scout. Should either using the dark hot or the white hot. Everything else kind of, some people use the colors. It just gets too convoluted.
Well,
okay, so the FLIR Scout you're talking about is not the same FLIR Scout I'm talking about. I'm talking about most people in the field have the FLIR Scout TK. So you don't have the FLIR Scout TK. You have something much more upgraded and much more expensive. So I would expect that Grass to work. And it's not junk. I'm saying the FLIR Scout TK, piece of crap. That's my review of it. And the reason why is the plastic nub on it that protected the thing. That broke. One day I look and that's gone. It just broke off. The rubber on it rotted. And it shouldn't have rotted. Right? That was gone. And then eventually the receiver in it comes out. The thing was, not meant for a durable life, let's say. And it's not like my FLIR Scout was out every other friggin' day. I maybe got 75 uses in the field using my FLIR Scout. To me, that's not a bargain. I want it to be there for 10 years. It lasted under 5. And for, at the time, a $600 investment, that was a pretty poor investment.
I can't remember what brand of thermal imaging that Matt Moneymaker was using for that episode that they did, but I think I looked up some thermal imagers.
Oh.
I think that was something to do, supposed to be used in marine environment on a boat.
AGM scope, beautiful scopes.
Oh yeah,
good stuff. Yep, good stuff, Henry.
Yeah.
Yep, finding a trackway. Bill says, I love your AGMs too, by the way, Bill. I've seen them. Very. They even have a higher sensor than I have in my Lorex. But my Lorex will get me to do what I need to do. That's what I like about the Lorex when I have some.
Yeah, those hunting videos they show on the tube, man, is just really, it's unbelievable. Unbelievably clear footage.
Yeah, I would like a plasma rifle too there. Yeah. Oh, there's Alex. Hey, Alex, good to see you, sir.
Welcome.
Says, I just tuned in, heard some thermal talk. He used the FLIR Scout for a year, really grew to hate it. Yep. The FLIR Scout TK in particular, right? AGM T160 is similarly priced and way better than the Scout. Absolutely. Because all the AGMs have that ability to link with a phone or a tablet. And all have tripod mounts where the FLIR Scout TK doesn't even have a tripod mount. So I can set my scope up over here, get a signal over on my phone, and watch on my phone or a tablet what that scope is doing over there, which is really cool.
I think those have their place. They have their place. You take them in the field with you. They're lighter. They're more compact. And if you hear something in the brush off to one side and it's pitch black, you can whip that dude out and then take a look. It's something over.
Hey, easy with whipping stuff out. Family show.
Where are you going with this, Steve? But yeah, you can use that pocket version and slip that thing over and check it out. put a thermal over to where the noise came from.
So as you can see, I have the Lorex, which is a
Right.
little bit bigger, a little bit chunkier than the Scout.
Yeah.
And again, all very similar type of operations on it.
A bunch of buttons.
Very similar operation on it.
Okay.
Great.
It looks a little bulkier than the Scout.
A little bit. It's a little, like I said, it's a little bigger than the Scout.
Right.
Probably maybe a quarter bit wider or thicker, and about the same length, but definitely wider and thicker on it. But man, and the other thing too is, great video, great clarity on it. And the other thing is, I bet you if I power that up, that'll power right up right now. The problem with the FLIR batteries, they would drain. I would if I did not have my FLIR on charge, I needed it, I'd have to charge it before I needed it because the battery wouldn't hold power.
Use a lot of power on standby then.
Well, it used a lot of the battery drain while it was off.
Oh, okay.
Right. And right now I'm turning my Lorex on.
Right.
Well, we can necessarily see that. And it's at full power.
Right.
Right. So here, this hasn't been used in about a month. And this is still powered up. So I can charge it, put it away. And when I need it, I can take it and use it. Right. The FLIR, I could not do that with. I would charge it, put it away, pick it up, turn it on, battery's dead. Right.
Jay Carey says, battery drain, proof of the Squatcher natural.
Yeah.
Hey, man, that has happened. Okay, that has happened. That happened to Scott while we were out one night. He had brand new batteries, and he turns on the voice recorder, sound recorder, audio recorder, and it's like nothing happened. The batteries were dead.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Sure. So I mean, really,
that would be a study. Hey, man, that's a study. Could anybody do a study? Does infrasound affect battery capacity?
I don't believe so.
I don't know.
But here's another interesting thing: is that, like I said, this cost me less than $300. If you look around hard enough, you will find a bargain somewhere. Sometimes you may pay $400. Sometimes you may pay $300. I lucked out and got this for $240. So,
well, all the really cool stuff is like several $1,000s, but and I would be afraid to like take it out in the field.
well, yeah.
If I did, it would probably be like in some sort of carrying case that was padded, and would only want to take it out just to there's a Bigfoot, I'm going to get a thermal.
So let's do a shout out to Bob Hip. He says, just to avoid any confusion, I'm also Riff Raff's RC. We've seen that in here. I'm the one, or depending on the phone, you have a radio control channel here on YouTube. So go visit. Go take a look at Riff Raff's RC channel on YouTube, as well as Alex. And if I haven't said it before, what a great film on the New York Bigfoot Alex did on the Appalachian series. Unbelievable. It was probably the best. And I gotta shoot a big thank you to Alex, because he really, whatever video editing software he used, I sent him some files of my enhancements of the Pridgeon video, aka the New York Baby video.
Right.
And when he put it in his editor, man, it pops.
Yeah.
And he's showing things that Finding Bigfoot never showed, that any of the documentaries that's ever been aired on has never showed. That was some of my enhancements where you actually, and it's one of the few films where you actually see everything I'm talking about, it coming off the back, swinging in the trees before it's dropping down, stuff like that, and looking at the bigger figure. Just incredible. And I thank Alex for that. He told New York story very well.
When Alex makes a documentary, it's top shelf. Always. Mm-hmm. Always.
As does Seth. As does Seth Breedlove as well. Yeah, so shout out to him. Shout out to him as well for, being part of the Small Town Monsters brand.
Top shelf. Good stuff.
But yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it's about feeling relevant or not. It was nice to get that New York story out there and be part of that. Me, Brian Goslin, and Paul Bartholomew are probably the three, and I'm the junior out of it. Well, Brian didn't get into Bigfoot research really until the mid 2000s. So I'm not really the junior guy. I'm the youngest guy. But, we've all been at it for 30 or 20 plus years together. So it's very, as far as the New York side of things goes. So it's very, I'm honored to be part of that production. It's really cool to do that. And to be in a community that long and actually be known in the community. And a lot of people, they know me, but they never bring it up. If I'm up that way, they know what I'm doing, so they leave me alone. But the community has been great to me. And, when I'm out there at the Whitehall Sasquatch Festival, it's so good to see all the familiar faces. Right. A lot of people come by just to say hello, see how I'm doing, and that's very much appreciated as well. So there's a lot.
That's you want to be in a documentary? Oh, he's gonna. Do you want to be in a documentary, Grass? I don't personally. If you want to see a documentary that I'm in, you won't find one. I don't do that.
Yeah, because I did tell Alex when Alex says that it was super cool to see the prison film that way and up close. I spent way too much time trying to enhance it as best I could. And it's true. I every few years I bust out the old files and I start trying to work it. Now the prison film, pretty much I've done all I can with it. Alex brought it to light beautifully in the film, putting it up there in that high def, excellent. In a way that nobody else has done before in a documentary. So I appreciate that. But I told Alex, I remember saying, Alex, you're going to see this in a whole nother light when you look at this enhancement. And even when I uploaded it to YouTube, it didn't come out as crisp and as beautifully done as Alex did it. So,
well, for a long time, you remember, Steve, I was skeptical. I was like, it's somebody's monkey in the tree, And it wasn't until Steve's breakdown of the frame by frame, and I started reviewing it frame by frame. I'm like, okay, where's his tail?
Well, Nick, there are, up and coming is John, Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks. He's got a great channel. Check it out. He's done a lot of good things. And there's a few others that are much quieter that are in New York. Mike Ann being another one, Tactical Bigfoot Research. Yep. And I hope Mike is okay. We haven't seen him in a bit. I know he's been going through stuff as we always do in life. So I hope he's doing well. But
it's always a busy time too. Everybody's trying to get stuff for the winter.
It is starting to creep into the holiday season where things get mad. I mean, even I normally am off on Mondays. I am working tomorrow just for a little extra gravy. So that is always fun to do.
Steve says, Curious Cryptid says, I mounted my thermal on an extendable walking stick monopod. What a great idea.
Raise it up. Go, okay, where are you? Yeah. If you can extend it up 4 or 5 feet over you.
Yeah. What a great idea. You got your walking stick, and you just set your stick in place, and you can do a 360. What a great idea. Awesome.
There we are. And Jen just put Jonathan's link up in the channel. I wanted to make sure I get a shout out to him. He's a great New York researcher up in the, I believe, in the Warren County areas, which is just over the other side of Lake George from us, the other side of the Hudson River. And he's really taken the lead on that. So I'll let him. I don't get too many Warren County reports. There are some. And if I get some, I'll make sure I'll include him in on them, because it's very important that as New York researchers, we connect with one another. We're all on the same page, or almost the same page. We may have some of our differences about this and that, but it doesn't matter. We're all looking towards the same goal. And that's really huge when you conduct an investigation, that, hey, the goal is to find the culprit. And that's the goal. Right. So, science, it may be to find the proof, but in investigation wise, we're trying to find the culprit, get the evidence. And if we all work together as a team, not let some of our differences in necessary beliefs, he may believe they do this, I may believe they do that. It doesn't matter. That it's just, as long as the opinions are honest and they come from the heart and belief, that is fine with me. That's why, I don't believe in the woo, but I don't hold it against them for thinking that. I mean, I will put arguments out there against some of it, but it's nothing personal. Except maybe Zorth. Zorth is stupid.
Yeah, I'm not really a big cult follower.
No. And there is quite a difference between that and the woo.
But mounting the thermal on a monopod, so a walking stick, that's an idea. I mean, that's great. Because so many times you see footage, even thermals like this. It's
so
hard to follow.
Mick asks if anyone's searching in the research in the Catskill areas. So the Catskills are south of Albany. They're another mountain range. You have the Adirondacks, and then further south you have the Catskills, and then eventually they go into the Appalachian Trail. And truthfully, I have done investigations quite extensively in the Catskills a number of years ago when I got reports. If I see a report in the Catskills, I'll gladly take them. But the problem they've had in the Catskills is there was a huge wildfire there not too long ago. So I don't know. And my son was involved in those wildfires. It was big news. Remember, I had said something about air quality a few weeks ago. That was because of the smoke being generated from the Catskill fire. Yeah. So yeah, I'd be curious to see if there's more interaction or more activity in the Helderberg Mountains, which is just north of the Catskills, just south of Albany. Where I did take a report back in May of a sighting report in the Helderbergs. So, and that was where we talked about the mother and son, where they were opossum rehabbers, and they were letting the possums go, and the son walked down the trail looking for morel mushrooms, and here comes a big, so that was the one in the Helderberg. So I wonder if that's going to increase over the times that we shall see, because of the fires in the Catskills may have driven them north or south or west or east. So we'll see.
That is a popular hiking destination for hikers to do the Appalachian Trail. Right. And unfortunately, I've always wanted to do that, but unfortunately I'm not able to do that now. Right. But for somebody that was younger or in better shape, to be a Bigfoot researcher while hiking the Appalachian Trail, that would be an awesome experience, because you're going to be going through a lot of areas where not too many people go. Well, other than the trail followers, trail hikers.
Boris, that's what we would call illusionary superiority.
Right on the money, Boris. Good stuff. Yeah.
On the money. On the money, 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 money. Anyway. So, we are almost at the end of the show, Chris.
Well, this went by pretty quick.
Sure did.
I enjoyed the footage and the close up and the detail you did on those screen caps, Steve. That was great. Yep. And while I think it put it to rest for me anyway that we're looking at a human,
Right.
instead of a Bigfoot. And I can't remember. I think I had seen that documentary because basically I've watched about every nature documentary that exists at one time or another. But I would have seen that right when it first came out, and so it didn't register with me.
Right. Yeah. And that one, like I said, I vaguely remember seeing it years ago.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
And at the time, we weren't doing a lot of analysis on the channel. We were doing a lot of interviews.
Right.
And things have got, I mean, that was 2018. That was actually before we were even on YouTube.
Yeah.
We were on Blog Talk Radio when this first started coming out. So we really didn't have a means or a method to do an analysis online. Maybe drop a video on the old channel, but I never did. So.
Well, I think that puts it to rest. I think.
And happy Thanksgiving to you as well, Alex,
Yes.
and to your new bride. Alex recently got married, so.
All right.
So Alex is spoken for, ladies.
Drink lots of Gatorade, Alex. Stay hydrated.
What a vitamin E.
Stay hydrated. Yes.
Yes, to feel that young again, to feel that, what the hell am I talking about?
Oh,
So.
Bristol. My mom had possible activity at her house in the Catskills. If I still lived in New York, I'd be looking around the area. Yeah.
Well, Ristel, drop me an email and see. I'll go down there and see what's going on if it's recent. Well, we still have some good weather left, although they say Sunday night or Thursday night, Thanksgiving, we may get, or Wednesday evening into Thanksgiving, we may get hit with some weather. Not quite sure.
Yeah.
It's like one of those 50-50. And the news channels haven't been rumbling about it. So I don't think it's going to be anything dramatic. Let's just say that. But we are in the kind of weird. It was like 55 today outside.
Yeah.
And in evenings it drops. Like right now it's 36 degrees here in good old Greenwich, New York. And talked to an English friend of mine saying, why the hell don't you call it Greenwich? No, that's Connecticut. We're Greenwich. We're New York. We got to be different. We have a spelled like Cairo, New York, but we all call it Caro.
Yes.
We have a Delhi, New York, but we call it Delhi.
Right.
Yeah,
There's a small city just on the outskirts, a small town on the outskirts of Lexington, Kentucky, and its true name is Versailles, just like the French palace, Versailles.
But they call it Versailles, don't they?
In Kentucky, it is pronounced Versailles. It is pronounced like it is spelled, Versailles.
It's funny, we see a lot of in New York. For sales. So anyway.
All right. On that note.
Chris, do your thing.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. We appreciate you. And I just cannot tell you enough how honored we are. We know we've got the greatest audience we could ever hope to have. And we are so humbled and appreciative of you guys. Thank you so much. If it's your first time watching, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. Smash the like button on the way out if you haven't already. That thumbs up really helps out the algorithm, and it's supposed to do something to help the channel get noticed more. I don't know.
So they say.
So they say. That's right. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. We appreciate you.
And of course,
we should be around Wednesday if nothing happens.
Wednesday and Friday. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should be Wednesday unless my route gets messed up a bit. But no, it's easy peasy job. Love it. So we'll get it.
Well, the holiday coming up, we don't know, but we should be here Wednesday.
And just so everybody knows, I want to thank Larry for gifting 5 memberships and Patty for gifting 10 memberships. Thank you so much, guys. Again, we have the best audience in the world. We love you all, guys. You guys are the greatest. You have a great sense of humor. You ask great questions. You have a lot of history knowledge, and you guys are learning just as we learn. We present this material to you every week, and we learn stuff too. And we're always striving to learn more, to bring you the most accurate, concise, and reasonably objective material are out there. We try to take the subjectiveness out of some of these things that come out in the Bigfoot world. And on my behalf, I want to thank again everybody for being here. Again, make sure you hit that thumbs like. Tell your friends, tell a friend that we are here and that we have a show that speaks the truth when it comes to the Sasquatch mystery. Not fluff, not fantasy, but science, investigation, and real time from the heart opinions. So everything, those three things: real science, real investigation, and if we're opinionating, it's from the heart. It's not from any amount of fakeness or anything like that. Again, we love you guys. Have a great week. We'll see you Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com at SquatchDTV. Make sure you remember that /. And we'll see you all here in a few days. Everybody be safe out there. We love you. God.
We thank you for being here with us on Squatch-D TV. If you haven't taken the time yet, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And oh yes, hit that notification bell too. We don't want you to miss anything. If you really like our content, you should consider becoming a member. And it's really inexpensive and a great way to support not only the show, but honest Bigfoot research. Everyone have a great week. Be safe and God bless. We will see you all here next time on Squatch-D TV. Keep on squatching.